Hello, everyone who's in here. I'm having some technical difficulties and I'm trying to figure it out. I've been working on it for a while now. Just when you think you have everything perfect, something like this happens. So I'm trying to get Mason on the other line right now so that we can do this interview. But I had it all figured out with Zoom, connecting Zoom, which is an interview platform, and I'm trying to get Mason on the other line. So please just bear with me for a couple more minutes while I figure this out. For some reason, I keep getting the message unable to access YouTube Live. So let's try this again. And worst comes to worst, I might just call over the phone, or maybe I'll pull an iPad up here and we can do a FaceTime there. But just a few more minutes. Let's see if I can figure this out. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just FaceTime Mason. We will see if this works as an interview. Hey, everyone who's in the chat. I will be right back so I can get my iPad to FaceTime him. Be right back. Okay. Yep, Mercury is retrograde.
Hey, Austin.
Hey.
Hey.
So, no, there you are. So, let's see if this will work. If we can conduct an interview, maybe this will be the start of a new series. I haven't seen anyone on YouTube doing interviews via iPad, but let's see if, I don't know if the, let's see if we can get both of us in here though. Time to get creative, everyone. I'm trying to think something to prop this up. Can you try talking and see if everyone can hear you?
Hey, can everyone hear me? Yes? No.
Yeah, can you please respond in the chat?
Go ahead.
I can just hold it up like this. This is good. Okay, so can everyone hear me talks?
Hey, everyone. Can you hear me?
Could you please respond in the chat if you can hear Mason?
Hey, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello?
Roger that. Does that mean you can hear him? Okay. Well, okay, so everyone can hear you. Maybe this is the start. Maybe this happened for some odd reason, but maybe this is the start of a new series of Austin and Mason's FaceTime adventures. And like I mentioned, we're going to be going live here on YouTube much more often, and we're going to be a week, maybe if not more, just about whatever's going on in crypto. And we thought today it would be appropriate to talk about institutional money getting into the crypto space, because there has been a lot of big players that are starting to put their money into crypto. So Mason, first off, how you doing? Thanks for being here again.
I'm great, man.
Thank you. So Mason, we did a talk and a Zoom meeting which we posted on YouTube a few weeks, and he just finished an internship at a crypto exchange in Hong Kong called Gatecoin. So make sure to go back and view that video. We talk about his experience and the overall sentiment of crypto within the Chinese space and within Hong Kong and everything. So it was really interesting. Go check that out. And also, if you're new to here, please make sure to subscribe to the end, to like that video if you are already subscribed. So Mason, did you by chance see that there was not only two big players, but three big financiers, as they say, that have entered the market of cryptocurrency? So there was George Soros, and he's probably the biggest, I think. Do you know his net worth?
I don't, but
Yeah.
it's in the billions. So.
Yeah. I think it's in like past 20 billion, something ridiculous. But there was him. There was Rothschild, the Rothschild family. And of course, there was the I'm blanking on the Rockefeller family. How could I blank on that? Yeah. Ever heard of them? So what I want to talk about is there's a lot of people who are saying this is absolutely great. This is the best thing that can happen to crypto. These big players get into the space and they put billions of dollars into it. But so consider this might not be a good thing for crypto. It might be a really good thing. So we're going to talk about all those factors and start with George Soros. What can you tell us about him, Mason?
So, I think he came out and said that, cryptocurrencies as a whole are a bubble, that, they're going to just crash. And so, I mean, there's validity to that. It definitely is a bubble in the sense that, you have extreme, like, astronomical valuations right now that really aren't justified by anything. But, just like the dot-com bubble, like this technology and these types of companies are going to be around for the future. He also, I remember, I'm just paraphrasing, but he said something around like Bitcoin is going to be used by like dictators and they're going to want to hold it, and that's like the only real case for it. And now he to invest in it, and he also invested Overstock.com. So I think money usually talks, and anytime you get someone who like so vehemently something, and then now they suddenly are outright investing in it, I think that says a lot more, because he's realizing it's a pretty incredible investment opportunity and that it really is going to be the future.
Yeah, and what a lot of people don't know about George Soros is that he is a currency manipulator. Like I was reading some articles about him, and there's actually a really good segment on him. And he does, there's kind of two sides of him. There's the one side that is this currency manipulator. And what that means is he'll go into countries and he will bet against their currency and potentially like kind of in a rebellion in that country, and that their currency, he wants their currency to break down and for the country to almost fail. And so that's the side that he's giving billions of dollars in philanthropy. And so people kind of see him in the good light in that regard. People, from what I've heard, what I've talked to people, when I've talked to them about him, they would say that this guy's super unethical. And then they would say, well, sometimes if you're big in finance and you have a lot of money, you don't even consider the ethics. So have you heard this before? Have you read about him in that light?
Yeah, I've read a little about it. I try not to get into like too much of like looking at like investors in like the sense of like, I mean, ethics are very important, and I think that that's something that the cryptocurrency market is very much needing, because if you have a lot of unethical activity going on, like insider trading and stuff like that, so that's all really possible right now. But I think eventually that will stop. As far as like George Soros, I don't obviously know him personally, so I try not to judge too hard, but anytime you're manipulating currencies, that's obviously.
1899, he bet against the British pound when they were having all their troubles, and in one day he made $1 billion. He put $10 billion against the British pound, and in one day he made $1 billion. And they called him, his nickname was like the killer of the British banks or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of people are giving him some type of, I guess, credit for the current bear market, but I don't really believe that his comments, or really anyone's comments, affected the market in any meaningful way. I think that, the market does what it does, and no matter who you are, no matter what you say, you can't predict.
And one thing to note too is that a lot of people think that doing this, they've been in the game. This isn't their very first day of getting into it, and they're announcing it to the world. And number two is that when they do want to buy something, went into the cryptocurrency market, they're not going to be buying it on Coinbase. They're not going to be going to a typical exchange. They go to over-the-counter places which can be hedge funds, and it can be different family of, say, Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency, and they'll go to them and they'll buy it personally from. That's definitely something to consider. Somewhat.
Yeah, and I mean,
hold on just one second, Mason. Everyone says the connection keeps going in and out. Us, or it might be them. Maybe I'll relocate, but technical difficulties. A lot of them coming. So here, I'm gonna relocate real quick to see if connection will be better. You wanted it live. This is live. Okay, let's see if it. We got dogs. Okay, is this connection better for everyone? Can people? Okay, I think it is. Okay, it's better now. Good. So as we were talking about, see if we can get you better. What were we talking about? Where were we? Oh yeah. So we'll recap on what we just said, but these big players, when they come into the crypto market, they're not going directly to a Binance or a Coinbase or a GDAX. They are going to these private people such as a hedge fund, and they're buying it OTC, which is over the counter. And this doesn't really affect the like if you're on GDAX, it's not going to affect the price right there. And that's something to consider, because a lot of people are saying that, oh, they're going to wait on this exchange and try and find when they're going to buy when there's a huge order. But I mean, you can't do that. They're in it, and they want to be secret about it. That's why when these people are coming out and announcing it like this, they're not going to show their whole hand. They're not going to tell all the details of what they're going to do. So in that regard, I'm being extra skeptical and very cautious with everything that they say. Mason, what were you saying before we relocated?
I was just saying, some exchanges actually do offer OTC trading. I know the exchange Gatecoin I worked at offered OTC trading, but usually there's very high minimums on that, obviously. So I think some minimums are upwards of 100,000 per trade. So even though some exchanges offer it, it's not like any normal investor would ever take part.
Yeah,
usually you have to be an accredited investor.
Yeah, that's true. Was it Bitfinex or Bittrex that recently in the past day or two, they just announced that they're going to start, it was Gemini. They said they're going to start doing over-the-counter trading, and Gemini is owned by the Winklevoss twins who started Facebook, and that would be really big, because would that be the first one that would have US dollars in a online over-the-counter exchange?
I don't know which exchanges offer OTC. I just know that some do. I know we offered US dollars, so I don't think it'd be the first.
Okay.
But I know that theirs is probably going to be a lot bigger scale just because of the size of their exchange.
Yeah, and so from your standpoint, I mean, you worked at an exchange and everything, but how would this money affect the market? I mean, is it just going to, if they put it all into Bitcoin, and do you think they're going to put it on a Bitcoin? Let's start with that. Do you think they're going to put it all in Bitcoin, or you think they're going to diversify into different altcoins such as Ethereum or Ripple or smaller ones?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll put it into a lot of different assets, but it'll really depend on the type of returns they're looking for. If you look at Bitcoin, it'll probably generate the returns that they want, especially if you just have a huge influx in capital. But if they're looking for some type of greater returns, then they might invest in some altcoins. But I wouldn't really see them getting too risky or investing in anything that's, let's say, like below top 50 or below top 100, unless they were really trying to bet big.
But everyone's saying that they're going to be manipulating this market, and would they be able to manipulate Bitcoin, or is Bitcoin finally big enough where it can't be manipulated by one person? Because if they went into some of these altcoins that have a smaller market cap, there's a smaller total money in there, then they can manipulate that pretty easily. But I don't know if their amount of money will affect the market, and could they control it?
Yeah, so I think that when you look at altcoins, they can definitely manipulate those because those market caps aren't that large. I mean, some market caps are maybe 100 million or a couple hundred million. So, if you have 10% of that, you could easily manipulate it. But if you're looking at Bitcoin, I still think that if you have, enough capital, you could definitely manipulate it. But Bitcoin, since it is worth, a couple hundred billion, it is more difficult to manipulate. But that being said, if you had some type of collusion or even just enough capital, you could still do it. But I don't know if it would be as effective because Bitcoin is not as it's a little better when it comes to dips and stuff, just because it's been through there. So if it crashes, some people freak out, but it's a roller coaster that people have been on before. So I think that people are a little more comfortable with those swings.
Mm-hmm. And as far as investing, I mean, I heard I listen to a lot of people on YouTube and podcasts and everything, and there's this one person who always says, you got to think like these big investors. You got to think like they are, because that really does change your whole philosophy. Instead of you trying to get rich in a month and hoping Bitcoin goes to the moon, these people are in it for the long term. And Rockefeller, he came out and they said that they're in it for the long term. And I think it was a minimum 5 years is what they said. Did you hear that? Or did you see what they said?
Yeah, and I don't know their time frame, but generally speaking, when you look at a lot of the successful, either hedge funds or VC firms in the industry, like Multicoin Capital, like Polychain Capital, I think that they all know they're in it for the long run. And, while they may do some type of minor adjustment or minor selling, for the most part, they're looking 3-4 years in advance. So that's their investment timeline.
For everyone who emails me saying that Bitcoin did not go up this week, you have to just look at the market as a whole and look at who's getting into this market, these huge billionaires, and ask yourself why. Why are these people getting into the market? What do they see in it? And how long are they going to get into it? Because they are going in to make money. They're not, whether the price of Bitcoin goes up or down, they're going to make a lot of money. And when you have that perspective that they're trying to crush everyone else, it helps me, because once you put yourself in those shoes, you can kind of just when the weak hands go away because the price goes down, and you hold or you do something that'll improve your position, then that's when you'll see your gains in the long term with these other people who have a lot of money into it. So do you have any, I know we're not financial advisors of any sort, definitely want to say that. Yeah, but do you have so you're in it for the long haul too. You don't do any trading, right, Mason? Day trading?
I don't know. I think that day trading is really, really difficult and very, very speculative. So it takes a lot of time, and you really have to know what you're doing. A lot of people day trade like using chart patterns, but I don't know enough about trading that way to even do it. I think Robinhood though will create an influx in people who start day trading cryptocurrency once it is fully operational throughout the U.S.
Have you used it or seen anyone who have used it?
And for cryptocurrency?
Yeah,
no,
Robinhood.
It's only live in I think California and like 2 other states.
Yeah.
So, and I'm in Hong Kong. So
Yeah. So Robinhood, for everyone the people who do not know what that is, it's an app that at first started with just the stock market, and you could trade things, and there was absolutely no trade commission fees at all. It was 0%. So you could trade, you could buy Southwest stock and you can trade it you can cash out, you can buy American Airlines stock, you can do whatever, and it would be 0 commission. So it's pretty cool. And they just recently opened it up to the crypto market. And I don't know if you can buy like Bitcoin with US dollars directly. I don't know exactly how it works. Are you more familiar with it?
I'm pretty sure that you can buy directly from your account with US dollars, but
okay.
I haven't used it, so.
Okay, and they're trying to do the no commission, similar idea as what they did before. So it's something that's really disrupting the exchanges, all the crypto exchanges, and it's very healthy competition, because Coinbase, for a little bit there within the US, they kind of had like I wouldn't say monopoly, because there are a couple of other pretty big ones, but Coinbase has definitely made it the simplest interface and every user experience. And I think Robinhood can definitely help with that. So,
yeah, I agree.
Regina asked if there's any thoughts on Abra. I've heard a lot about Abra. To be honest, I did a little bit research on it, but not too much. Are you more familiar with it, Mason?
Yeah, so Abra is basically a remittance, company. So the idea is that they're going to use Bitcoin in order for remittances. So remittance being like, say you have someone who works in the U.S., but they're from the Philippines, they can, and oftentimes send part of their paycheck back to their family who's in the Philippines who may not be there. And that happens in countries like all over the world. And the remittance industry is I think it's a couple $100 billion industry. I don't know exactly, but so I think that as cryptocurrency as remittance is a really cool use case, and I think that can generate a lot of value. Whether Bitcoin will be the go-to medium for that, I don't know. Probably not right now because of its high fees. But yeah, I think that those types of companies are creating pretty strong use cases for cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm. So going back to institutional money coming into play, what is there something that you'd like to say about Rockefeller or about Rothschild, just about the other big players that are coming in? Because we kind of talked about George Soros.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall it's a good thing.
Okay.
When you have this type of capital coming into any new market, it generally paves the way for a lot of development. You can pay, better people, so you can attract the best talent. And overall, I think it's good for the long term. Right now, because there's not a lot of regulation, maybe it might have some short-term repercussions or short-term problems. But overall, I think it'll be a benefit for the whole entire crypto space.
Awesome. Well, everyone's asking about different currencies, about NEO and about Tron, XRP. I don't know if we're going to be talking about every single specific currency, but if you have any other questions, just feel free to put them in this chat. I mean, I guess we can talk about some if y'all really want to. NEO is pretty interesting. People are saying it's kind of like centralized, and maybe since they're working out of China, has the sentiment changed at all over there? I know you're not in China. I mean, you're in Hong Kong, but you were just traveling around China. I don't know if you talked to anyone within the crypto space.
Yeah, I was just in China last week, and I was just there for vacation, not for any type of business.
Yeah.
So I pretty much just relaxed the time. But if you look at NEO, TRX, even most of the cryptocurrencies, they're still developing. So most of them don't even have a live product or live mainnet network, so something that they're able to run on. So I think that they're all speculative.
Mm-hmm.
So it really depends on what you think are valid use cases, and I think that some of them have drastically overstated or aren't kind of anywhere near the point where they could be considered an actual product. So I think you have to be skeptical when you start looking at any project, really.
And so what's your stance on when people compare these to companies? And it's so interesting because there can be companies out right now that are vastly successful companies. They're doing hundreds of millions in revenue per month and billions in revenue per year. But then there are cryptocurrencies that don't have anything to show for it, and they're valued company that's actually making money. So it's such a bizarre way. Do you think you can compare these currencies to companies?
Maybe in some instances you can, because some of they run as startups almost. You have these companies that have a founding team. They have some type of development they're trying to do, but most of them aren't generating any type of revenue. And I think you could say that about pretty much almost any project in the space. But I think something you have to remember is most of these projects don't have any type of fiduciary responsibilities. They don't have any type of, really anything that they have to do for any type of shareholders or stakeholders. Just because you own, a cryptocurrency, just because you own Litecoin, just because you own, NEO or something like that, doesn't mean they actually have to give you anything, as opposed to people who invest in startups or invest in stocks, where there are certain responsibilities and liabilities that companies have to undertake.
That's an interesting perspective. And one of the people who I always listen to, they always talk about how they think the crypto space is going to become very similar to the venture capital space, where these coins, you can treat them almost like companies or the tokens, and the companies who are making these tokens or coins, you can invest in their token, and most of them are going to die out, most of the altcoins, just like startup companies. But the ones that do succeed, you'll hopefully get a big return. And I mean, he thinks that, and I think this too, that it's the ones who actually have a real use case that is obviously going to succeed. So definitely make sure when you look at a coin or a token to make sure it actually has a real use case. And there was actually a question that I wanted to ask you, Mason. With coins and tokens that have real use cases, say, I mean, if Bitcoin became a medium of exchange, if it could replace the dollar, do you think something with the real use case is more important than institutional money coming in and investing in it? Or do you think that they'll both play its own part?
I mean, I think they'll both play their own role. I think that, looking at, thousands of companies or thousands of ideas that have, started in the past, good ideas always stand out, and good ideas are almost always successful. As far as if you have two competing ideas, sometimes capital can play a role. If you look at the dot-com bubble, I think you can, look at a lot of similarities. Like everyone knew that something that we're using the internet, we're going to take off. Some things are too ahead of their time, and some things are just terrible. So I think the aspects in cryptocurrency, and I think that that's something to remember.
And Britt asked, tell me what a use case means. A use case means that you can, I'm seeing that the video is unavailable. Someone who's watching it here just told me the video is unavailable, but people are still watching, I think. We'll just go for a little bit longer, see what happens. Some technical, okay, everyone else can see it. Okay, so Britt asked, tell me what a use case means. A use case means that these tokens and these coins actually have a purpose. They're not just something to throw money at and hope that it goes up. They actually serve a purpose, and it has technology that can benefit everyone. So one use case is just the first one that came to mind is VeChain. And VeChain, they are trying to do supply chain and involve cryptocurrencies with it. But with their supply chain, say they're trying to work with the wine industry and they're trying to eliminate all counterfeit wines, which is a huge problem, especially in China. And so with VeChain, say you can have an app on your phone and there will be a little barcode on the wine bottle that you buy in the store, and you can scan that QR code from your phone and it'll tell you the whole supply chain that it came through. So it'll say it was grown in this vineyard in France. It was transported in this truck at 15 degrees Celsius, and it will tell you every single thing. So that's something that's pretty new, very cool. And then there's a cryptocurrency that kind of goes along with that. Do you know a lot about VeChain, Mason? Are you a little bit?
I haven't looked too much into it, but a supply chain is definitely a use case for blockchain technology. And I think that, there are current use cases, there are short-term use cases, and there are long-term use cases. And then there are use cases that we've never thought of. A use case that, we haven't really thought of would be like prediction markets. So projects like Augur or Gnosis or even Stoke.
So what does prediction market mean? Can you?
Yeah, so a prediction market is basically, it's similar to Vegas, I guess is the simplest explanation, in the sense that someone could create a type of, market event, which could be something like who will win the presidential 2020 election. And then, say candidate A and candidate B. And people could buy, shares of candidate A or candidate B in this event. And if candidate B ended up winning, then people who own shares of candidate B could get paid out, while people who own shares of candidate A would get nothing. So, and I can talk about prediction markets more in depth later because I think they're really fascinating and a really cool use case. But, they'll definitely take some time to develop. But there are things like that are really, really interesting and require a blockchain in order to make them successful.
Mm-hmm. And there's so many things just around blockchain that don't necessarily have to have a cryptocurrency. I just saw, it was like the UN, not the UN, but this just happened, I think, yesterday. It was someone like the UN just offered $37 million that they're going to invest in blockchain startups. Did you see that?
I didn't, but
yeah, it was
so many.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to keep up with, and a lot of money flowing towards another use case would be in a voting system. And they said that they use this in Estonia, and Estonia is actually really big in blockchain, which is pretty awesome. But they said that they did an election, and it might have come out that it wasn't 100% using blockchain, but that they facilitated an election using blockchain, and so it was accounted for, and they knew exactly who was going for and who they're voting for. So there was no way of doing a hack or of somehow manipulating this election. So that's something that's really cool, especially with the US presidential elections and how everything has been still playing out, saying that there's been frauds and there's been a lot of manipulation. So, I mean, there's so many different use cases.
Yeah, I agree. I think VR and AR technology is also really will be able to utilize blockchain in a pretty unique way. But I think that'll take a lot of time, just because you're adding, one developing technology in blockchain, and then you're adding another developing technology in VR or AR, and that just adds, magnitudes of difficulty.
Yeah. So, is there an example of a company or just something that you thought of that could be cool with cryptocurrency and blockchain in VR and AR? VR and AR, by the way, for those who don't know, it's just virtual reality and augmented reality. But I think
that there are a lot of interesting applications for it, and I think like one company that I know specifically is called Decentraland, so like decentralized land, and kind of behind the project is that they're building a virtual world where people will be able to interact with one another, kind of like a video game. But instead of a traditional video game where you have some type of company that, owns the entire game and can do whatever they want to it, this is decentralized in the sense that the land, the actual, parts of the video game world are for sale. So people can buy them, develop on them, and kind of create whatever they want.
It's amazing how many video games already have virtual currencies. And I think it was like Half-Life or some video game where look at inflation and all this stuff. And it was crazy just how if you're actually playing the game, you just think, okay, I'm going to buy some coins and I'm going to get this extra armor on my guy. But there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, I'm actually writing article, blog post about this.
Really?
So hopefully it should be out by the end of this week, if not next week. But I think it's a really, really interesting application. There's some really, really cool, not only projects that are being built with it, but just I think it has a pretty strong use case for a blockchain, which not all companies do.
And yeah, by the way, Mason is planning to start writing on Medium, which is just a writing platform for freelance writers. And that's where a lot of people in crypto and blockchain, they write. So I'll definitely link to, if you already have an account ready, or do you already?
Yeah, I already have a page
with
a couple posts up on how to value Bitcoin, talking about digital assets, stuff like that, which I think are, interesting.
And is it just under your name?
Yeah, just my name.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll put that link in the section below here, so y'all make sure to check that out. And we might start doing some newsletters or something. Maybe I'll just include your articles within the newsletter, because we got some people signed up there, and then I can link them to the Medium. But your stuff. Mason's very knowledgeable in this space. He worked at a crypto exchange, so make sure to check out all his articles. And what was the name of the company that the VR company Joanna was asking?
It's called Decentraland.
Decentraland.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Decentra and then land, L-A-N-D.
Okay.
Yeah. But and I'm happy to talk about projects eventually too. I see Regina just asked about Hashgraph, and I don't know too much about every project, just because there are so many.
Yeah,
and
of course.
It's time consuming to read white papers, read sessions about it. But I think that one thing to look at is, who's the team behind it? You look at what are they trying to do. For Hashgraph specifically, I know that they're a private blockchain, so they're not a public blockchain, meaning in the sense that like everyone's going to be able to operate it and everyone's going to be able to see all the transactions or stuff like that. But and there's different levels of private versus public blockchains. So I think that's also something to look at when you're looking at these projects, because if they're private blockchains, then they're going to have different use cases than any type of public blockchain.
Yeah, and on that note, asking about Hashgraph and interested in these companies, if y'all want us to talk about something, please reach out to me at austinpatreecrypto@gmail.com, or you can comment here, just somehow get a hold of me, and then we will be more than happy to probably talk about that. Mason and I, like Mason said, he's read a lot of white papers in his time in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong. So we want to share those, and we'll go over some more projects and everything. And we'll do weekly updates like this, just about different topics such as today and institutional money and everything. But is there what else is going on in the news that you've been following? I know you've been out of town kind of relaxing for a little bit, but is there something that you'd like to talk about?
I follow regulations. So the SEC has kind of started cracking down on some companies that have either been doing, malicious trading. So like whether they're, manipulating like certain trading, or if they're doing it and not disclosing it. So I think that that's generally a good thing. Once you can sort of get these types of like standard regulations that you have for like the stock market or for traditional derivatives, I think that that's going to be really good for the space. Because then, anytime you can make a market ethical, that's generally good.
Yeah, and I think the next couple of weeks are going to really, the next months, but the next couple of weeks are going to be playing a big part, because you have so many of these big investors coming in, and just there's a lot of news surrounding it. So make sure to keep up with it, and it's going to be exciting. And if history repeats itself, it always goes up. The prices, everything always goes up in the fall, and just like in the past couple of years, it always drops around January. Definitely encourage everyone to look at the past and the previous charts if that's really all you're concerned about, and just put everything into perspective, because really what we just went through, it was a big drop, but it wasn't the biggest drop ever. So just consider that. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions. Okay, reception isn't good. Yeah, for lesson learned, everyone, next time that we weren't planning on using an iPad and me being here. We had everything else worked out, but it last second didn't work. So next time will definitely be higher quality. Don't y'all worry. Other than that, do you have anything else to say, Mason?
Not too much, but for those who are looking at investing or who are already currently investing, just make sure you do your own research. Don't take anything as like fact. Make sure you verify. I think that the most important thing is also remember that this is highly speculative. All of it's really early, and no one really knows how it's going to go. So don't invest money that you're not willing to lose, and just be careful. Make sure that you know what you're getting into.
Yeah. Amen to that. Well, that will wrap it up for this YouTube live. Again, sorry everyone that hopefully the connection was good enough. Hopefully you could follow along and everything. And next time it'll be a lot better, and hopefully you can come with some more questions. We'll answer all those. But until then, it was great chatting with you, Mason. Great having everyone in here. Thank you all for participating. And next time, Mercury won't be retrograde. Everything will be good. All right, I'll see y'all later. And make sure to spread the word and subscribe if you haven't already, and otherwise like this video. So I'll see y'all later.
Have a good one.